That is a huge question. That's the question clients are asking me right now. And I tell them she's sort of like Schrodinger's Federal Reserve Board governor, because if you ask President Trump, he would say she's not a governor right now. But if you ask her and her lawyer, they would say, yeah, she's still a governor because President Trump exceeded his authority in trying to fire her. And so it doesn't really have any effective value. But that is what a court has to decide. I think the trial court can actually decide that issue relatively quickly in terms of, litigation timelines, probably within a month or so. And then there will be appeals after that.
Within a month or so, there's a September 17th FOMC. What do we reasonably think can happen by that date?
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that she asks for clarity from the court even faster than a month with that September 16th or 17th date.
Sorry, 16th, yeah, decision on the 17th.
Date in mind. But, in my mind, the critical date is February, not September 16th. Because September 16th, she's only one vote out of 12 on the FOMC. Last time in July, you only had 2 dissenting votes. So it's unlikely that her one vote would make all that much of a difference in September. But in February, that's when the Federal Reserve Board gets to reappoint or block the reappointment of the regional reserve bank presidents who rotate onto the FOMC. So if she's not on the board in February, President Trump has a much more favorable stack of governors on the Federal Reserve Board who could block the reappointment of regional reserve bank presidents. And as a result, he may have more sympathetic votes going forward after that.
Man, you can get cynical when you want to, right? You can go down that deep dark hole.
It's not cynical. It's looking around the corner, Paul.
It's being a lawyer. Okay, being an attorney. So again, I guess it comes down to, does the president have cause here? And is that for a court to decide? Is that how it works?
Well, there's so many interesting legal questions here. That is one of them. Let me sort of walk you through what I think the main questions will be. Number one, is the for-cause removal restriction even constitutional?
Yep.
That President Trump's going to argue that it's not. The Supreme Court indicated in May that for the Federal Reserve Board, it likely is fine. Assuming it's constitutional, what constitutes cause, right? There are other statutes that say it's inefficiency, neglect of duty, or some sort of malfeasance in office, which is also key because her mortgage applications were from 2021, right? Okay, so now let's say we know what cause means. Then we have to determine, did her conduct or do allegations of her conduct rise to that level of cause? Okay, let's say we get an answer on that. Then the question is, who even makes that determination? President Trump will say, this is for me to decide, me, the president, not the courts. So that's going to be a huge issue. And then the last question is, okay, let's say she was removed improperly. What's the remedy? Does she get reinstated, or does she just get back pay?
Right.
And forward pay for, whatever she would have served out? So there's so many interesting questions. I think on most of those, the Supreme Court gave us a hint in May that they value Fed independence, and so they will side with Cook on some of those issues.
So I believe she's filing this lawsuit in her personal capacity. So how does the Federal Reserve respond as an institution? What does the General Counsel for the Federal Reserve say or do here?
That's a great question. Probably they don't say anything. But interestingly, I was just looking at the complaint. The other members of the Federal Reserve Board, I believe, are named as defendants as well. So it's not just President Trump.
Oh, interesting.
I think Powell and the rest of them and the board itself maybe as well. So I'm not sure exactly what the angle is there. Probably trying to, from Cook's perspective, reach a result where if there is a court ruling, the Federal Reserve Board and Powell have to abide by it and reinstate her if that's what the court rules.